Hi, I am Dr. Samir Ben Osman, and in this video we're going to talk about the principles of business and economics. Economics is the study of how people are going to allocate scarce resources for production, distribution, and consumption. So let's talk about those products. Where do they come from? So we have different types of products that people can exchange in an economy that range from pure products, such as, metals or fruits or vegetables or houses or tools, to pure services such as transportation, security, etc., to hybrid services that have a product component and a service component, such as medical treatments, where you have the medication itself, but you have the service of the doctor that's providing the treatment, and products with warranty, where the product is the physical product and the warranty is the service that comes with it. Cell phones with the plans, or the cell phone is the physical product and the plan is the service, etc. And it's important to note that many products can also serve as resources for other products of higher values, and the chain continues until it reaches end products in what we call the value chain. And you can see in this example we have raw materials that make spare parts, and then they go increasingly in value until they make a car. It's important to know that these resources will flow to their higher value, but if they have competing values, they will flow to their most valuable use. So the resources can flow to one use more than another. So for example, gold will tend to flow to jewelry making instead of other industrial applications, or iron can be flowing more to make weapons during wars than other things, etc. And so how these products are made and exchanged. So making products relies on three factors, or three pillars if you want. So first is the available resources. So if you don't have any resources, you cannot make that product. Second is the demand. If there is no demand for the product, well, you cannot make it economically. And then the production environment, which can make it easy or very hard to make the product. And these factors can favor some products over others, or favor some companies over others, or some regions over others, enabling them to make more of these products faster, cheaper, better, and giving them thereby a competitive advantage. So let's talk about, the first pillar, which is resources. So there are four types of resources that are necessary to make a product. First, you need upstream resources, which is raw materials, parts, machinery, etc. Then you need skilled labor with both physical and intellectual skills to make the product. And then you need time to produce sufficient quantities to meet demand. And you need funding or money to pay for those upstream resources as well as for labor. We will focus here on the workforce and the money. So let's talk about the workforce, or the skilled labor. So labor can be either a single person, like a craftsman or a baker or etc., or a group of people that form what we call companies, and they will need suppliers to sell them upstream resources. And the producers themselves will supply other producers until reaching the end customers in what is called the supply chain, as you can see here. The more coordinated the supply chain, the faster, cheaper products will transit to customers, and the more competitive those products will be. And this will depend on three factors. First, the qualification of the workforce itself. So how well do they master the techniques to make the product? And also, as the techniques to make the product changes, how well do they adapt to this change and retrain themselves to be able to make it as efficiently and cheaply and with the best quality as possible. Then you need coordination within the company, between the different departments of the company, to make it produce efficiently the product, as well as coordination with other companies, that suppliers in the supply chain, or like downstream in the supply chain, as well as the infrastructure that enables you to ship this product efficiently to your end customers, such as physical infrastructure, roads, ports, airports, etc., but also technological infrastructure such as internet backbone, telecom, banking infrastructure, etc. So Now let's talk about the second part of resources, which is the funding or the money. Because people generally don't work for free, labor has to be assigned a value that can be later used to, quote unquote, buy others people's time and labor and the resulting products that come from that. Therefore, the money is the main instrument to assign as well as to transfer that value, that labor value, in a fair way. And what's a fair way is that the value of a labor is worth what people are willing to pay to get it. And therefore, any durable ledger that's agreed upon and that's hard to falsify can be money. So that ranges from group memory in some trade-in tribes, whereby all the group members witness the trade and then they can recall who gave what to whom. And so that basically memory serves as memory, as money. Also, gold can be used, or government-controlled currencies, fiat currencies, fiduciary currencies can be used. Or in many African countries in Central Africa, you have phone credits that started being used. Originally, they were conceived as credits to just call people. But then people quickly realized that you can send people credits and they can give you something in exchange for it. It's durable, it's agreed upon, and it's hard to falsify. And so it became the de facto currency, and it actually was working across many African countries. And then we have more recently cryptocurrencies or digital currencies that are based on ledgers that are distributed across millions of computers. And every time there's a transaction that's happening, it's been written in all these ledgers, distributed ledgers, using a technology called blockchain. And so serving as money. Given that all resource values are relative, i.e. like the value of something is basically, like we said, the demand for people for it that's going to determine its price. And so the most efficient way to trade those resources for money is when buyers and sellers get together and negotiate prices in full transparency. And these places are called markets. Can be actually physical or virtual now. And some markets are general, and some markets can be specific to the goods traded. So for example, you have groceries markets, but you have also markets for metals or company stocks, etc. So this is kind of a little bit of principles on the funding or the money and how it influences the production. Now let's talk about the demand itself and what affects the demand. So what's the relationship of demand to supply? So first of all, companies, they produce to get benefit or profit. And as we know, profit equals revenue minus costs. And so revenue is going to come for the price that customers are willing to pay to get the product, which is dictated by how many customers need or want it, which is the demand. And how many competitors produce similar products or substitutes, which is the supply. And so higher demand means higher price, means more competitors. And then new ones called new entrants will come also to take a piece of the pie, producing thereby more similar products and substitutes, which means more supply, which means lower prices. Therefore, prices will fluctuate based on supply and demand. Now, where does competitiveness among those come into play? So competitiveness is going to be impacted by the differentiation of the producer relative to other competitors or new entrants, as well as the bargaining power of the suppliers that give them the raw materials and the customers that buy from them. And so in some fields, it's easier to start making the product than others. For example, it's easier to make toys than to start making planes. And these are called barriers to entry. So barriers to entries to make toys are much lower than barriers to entries to make planes. And therefore, the higher the barriers of entry are, the more protected the company that makes them is from new entrants, and the more competitive advantage it has. Also, demand generates product sales, which generate revenue, but companies only retain profit, which is, like we said, revenue minus cost, as you can see here. And costs can either be fixed, i.e. they remain the same regardless of the production volume, like machinery, factories, permanent labor, salaries, government taxes, etc. Or they can be variable, i.e. they go up and down with the production volume, like raw materials or non-permanent labor, etc. And so high demand justifies investing more in fixed cost items to produce more of the units at less cost per unit, and thereby realize what we call economies of scale. As the competition does the same, they invest also in heavy machinery, etc., the prices will go even lower. And therefore, the more demand, the cheaper the products become to produce until the demand and the supply stabilize. Now, because of that, companies need to assess carefully where they put their money, and it's what they call the cost-benefit analysis, whereby they determine how much revenue or return they will get from their investment in this product, called the return on investment, and how much they will have to sink in terms of cost to get it, and whether it's worth making the investment. Also, investing to make a product will always be at the expense of making another, which is called the opportunity costs. And that's also carefully analyzed by companies to determine whether this is the best investment of our time, money, and resources, or what should we make another product that may be more promising than the first one. And so that leads to the prioritization of some products or activities over others. By the way, this principle also is pertinent for individual decisions, because we also have time and resources that we're dedicating in our lives to certain activities, and we're always doing it at the expense of others. So we need to think of other uses of our time and prioritize the ones that give us the most return on investment of our time and resources. Now, companies and products, like people and civilizations, will have a life cycle. That life cycle is going to start with birth, which is the startups that invent new product categories, and that goes into growth and expansion as their products get more and more used and needed. And then it goes in maturity as the demand stabilizes with the supply. And then over a period of time, it will decline, and then it causes death as their product becomes uncompetitive, either because others make cheaper or better products, or it becomes obsolete because others have created products that disrupt the current product, like, for example, cars that disrupted horse carriages, or the internet that disrupted printing industries or travel agencies, etc. How long companies stay relevant depends on their ability to understand what customers will need in the future. Not only that, but also adapting through developing risky ideas, most of which will fail, but some of which will succeed and cause the development of new products, new technologies, new infrastructure, new skilled labor, etc. So the success factor for remaining longer in life is creating and maintaining a culture of innovation in the company by rewarding those high-risk, high-reward ideas, and not punishing the inevitable failures that will be resulting from those, while punishing the lack of trying. Most companies, by the way, that decline, large companies that tend to decline, have a culture that actually rewards maintaining and growing existing products, because they are the products that are bringing them the revenue, but punishes all failures because they're afraid of disrupting those products that they have. And thereby the side effect is that they're going to discourage exploration and discourage basically risky new ideas that can bring them new products. So let's talk about now what influences demand. So customers pursue their perceived short-term interest. They don't pursue their actual interest, but their perceived interest in the short term. So this is important to know. So when they act rationally, they will prioritize needs such as food and water and housing and healthcare and education over wants, which is fashion and clothing, leisure and travel, etc. And these will be deprioritized in a perfect market, where there's a priority to needs and there's fair and equal competition. However, a perfect market never exists in reality, as it is influenced by people's cognitive biases, the ones that we spoke about in psychology and psychiatry, as well as by the companies themselves and the government institutions that will try to influence demand. So first, cognitive biases such as group effects, which tends to lead people to buy the same thing that everyone is buying, or loss aversion, which tends to have people sell what everybody's selling for fear of loss, or the influencer effect, just doing what people influence you to do, or the optimism bias, saying that, you know, yes, I will buy this for more money, but it will last me more than it lasts for other people, etc. They lead often to prioritizing the wants over the needs, and so they will lead to impulse buy-in. They will lead to buy-in just to fit in groups, etc., over the needs, for example, for saving for retirement or keeping a cash reserve for a rainy day, etc. Optimism biases also lead to buy-in products later to resell them, hoping that their price will increase in the future, in what's called speculation. And as prices will never go up indefinitely, and if a lot of people, because of the group effect, buy the same thing and try to speculate on it, well, at a certain point, the price will go down and will result in large-scale losses that can actually bleed into other parts of the economy and call what we call recessions and even depressions. Now, like we said, companies and governments can also influence demand. So how do companies influence demand? So companies can increase demand for their products by marketing them using what we call the 4 Ps of marketing, which is product, price, placement, and promotion. So product is basically finding the attributes of the product that will be appealing to a target audience and making the product to that shape. And the price is like finding the right price so that it's attractive to the people who are potentially interested in buying it, and not making it too expensive that no one's gonna want it. Placement is like, where are you going to sell this product? Are you going to sell it online, in a shop, in a store, specialized store, in a grocery store, direct sales? Like, what's the best way to sell this product? And promotion is like, how are you going to advertise the product to your target audience? And you can see here an old poster for a sports car. And you see the way it's laid, etc., is to appeal to the target audience that's supposed to be interested by this product. Now, companies, they can do more than marketing to influence demand. They can leverage mergers and acquisitions to acquire their competitors and therefore become a monopoly, and so completely control demand. They can also lobby governments to ease regulations on their products or limit alternatives. Now, how does the production environment get influenced now? So companies choose to move their production where they can find the best compromise of safety and political stability and administrative efficiency and government incentives, as well as skilled labor that is, efficient and not so expensive, as well as a supply chain that's mature and efficient, as well as a political system that allows them to stably produce and get profit from their production. So political systems can improve all of these factors by creating a positive or a level playing field through protecting the investments, either physically from like theft or vandalism, etc., or legally from seizure or confiscation or things of that nature. Also by increasing investment in education of their workforce or their people in the demanded skills. They can also increase or favor the production through simplifying administrative processes and making them efficient, and also by investing in all types of infrastructure. However, governments can sometimes influence more of the demand and the production by acting on other levers. So they can impose taxes or impose tariffs on some products to artificially raise their price, or oppositely lower their price, or they can lower their taxes or provide subsidies to lower their price artificially and make them more in demand than other products. However, artificially altering supply and demand can have negative side effects in the in the midterm and in the long term. Notable examples include heavy subsidies in the US for corn production, which made processed food that contained high fructose corn syrup, that made them cheaper than healthy foods. And that created unhealthy food trends whereby people bought the unhealthy food because it was cheaper than the healthy food, and then created an epidemic of diabetes and obesity, etc. Another example is foregoing the costs associated with cleaning up the air and the water and the land from the pollution caused from producing those products. from fossil fuel extraction to the chemical industry, etc. And that caused global impacts on the climate and environmental pollution and increased ecosystem health problems such as respiratory problems. And all of these are hidden costs that should have been accounted for when those industries took place, so that they can either find better ways to produce, or it's going to give the real cost of those products so people buy less of them. And so artificially not foregoing those costs led to the impact that we have. And so you can see how much governments and companies can have in terms of leeway on production and also impacting the lives of people. And with that, we came to the conclusion of the principles of business and the economy. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate your feedback, and I'll see you in the next video.